My husband's mistress crashed our daughter's birthday party, and I made sure everyone knew exactly who she was. Her smile was a razor's edge, barely concealing the poison beneath. The moment she introduced herself, "I'm Chelsea, friend from your dad's work," my blood ran cold. Because I knew exactly who she was. She was the woman in the selfie my husband had sent me 3 nights ago at 11:47 p.m., the one where she wore his dress shirt and nothing else. Now, here she was, in the flesh, at my daughter's 7th birthday party. Her eyes, calculating, testing, drilled into me even as she feigned warmth toward my little girl, who was already spinning happily towards the bounce house. All around us, parents made polite small talk, balloons bobbed against the ceiling, and my husband stood frozen by the snack table, his hand hovering over a napkin dispenser like he'd been flash-frozen mid-reach. He was as guilty as she was bold. I returned her icy stare, a polite, venomous smile of my own blooming. "Chelsea," I purred, my voice bright, friendly, "so glad you could make it." Her head tilted, that smugness I knew so well from my late-night detective work flickered across her face. She thought she'd won something by showing up here. She thought she was staking her claim in front of my daughter, at her party. Oh, she had another thing coming. And then I spoke. Louder now. My voice cutting through the chatter, effortlessly projecting across the room. "I was just telling the other moms about how you and my husband have been sleeping together for the past 4 months. The bounce house motor hummed in the sudden, shattering silence. Chelsea's smile didn't just crack, it shattered. Parents mid-conversation froze, plastic forks suspended over paper plates. A child's innocent question, "What does sleeping together mean?" was instantly shushed. Chelsea tried to recover, "Excuse me," but her voice came out thin, reedy, like stretched elastic. My husband finally moved, lurching towards us, hands up defensively, as if approaching a wild animal. "Babe, can we let's talk outside." My own voice, an icy calm, replied, "We're done talking." My phone was already in my hand, my thumb hovering over the screenshot folder. "Actually," I said, voice dripping ice, "Chelsea might want to hear some of her greatest hits." Her face drained from pink to an ashen white. I cranked the volume. "Can't wait to feel you again," I read aloud, my words echoing in the stunned silence. "Told her I have a work trip next week." "Stop!" My husband lunged, grabbing for my phone. I stepped back, out of reach. My gaze swept over the frozen parents, then back to him, still trying to protect her. "She has no idea," I stated, a bitter laugh escaping. "That one's my favorite. Really captures the respect you both have for me." Parents shifted uncomfortably, pulling their children closer. One mom actually covered her son's ears. Chelsea backed towards the door, the purple tissue paper poking out of the gift bag now seemed to mock her, clutched to her chest like a useless shield. "This is insane," she stammered, her voice shaking violently. "You're insane." "You think I'm insane?" I countered, an unyielding fire in my eyes. "I have hotel receipts, credit card statements, 47 text messages, and now I have a room full of witnesses who just watched you walk into my daughter's birthday party like you belonged here." My daughter, oblivious to the emotional carnage, appeared at my elbow, cupcake frosting smeared on her chin. "Mommy, why is everyone quiet?" The edges of the room blurred with a sudden wave of raw emotion. I knelt, meeting her innocent gaze. "Sometimes grown-ups make really bad choices, sweetheart. Mommy's handling it." Her next question was a punch to the gut, "Is Daddy in trouble?" "Yes," I said simply. She nodded, solemn, and ran back towards her friends. I stood. Chelsea was halfway to the exit now. My husband, looking utterly defeated, trailed after her. 10 seconds, I called out to Chelsea, my voice clear and cutting. "Then I make sure your company finds out. I know you met at the conference. I know you violated your company's fraternization policy. My attorney's investigator was very thorough." She ran. My husband followed her into the parking lot, throwing one desperate, pleading look back at me that I didn't return. The room remained frozen for another beat. Then, Andrea, a mom whose son was in my daughter's class, crossed to me. She squeezed my shoulder. I saw the whole thing, she said quietly. If you need a witness, I'm in. 2 other moms nodded. One was already typing furiously on her phone. I'm sorry, I said to the room, my voice steadier now. I'm sorry this happened here, but I'm not sorry for making sure everyone knows exactly who showed up to my daughter's party today. Someone, mercifully, started the music back up. Kids drifted back to the bounce house. Parents resumed their conversations in lower voices, but I caught the looks: sympathy, solidarity, shock. Midway subscribe line, the music started up again, a desperate attempt at normalcy. Kids drifted back to the bounce house, parents trying to pretend they hadn't just witnessed a domestic explosion. If you're still with me, still wondering how this train wreck could possibly get worse, hit that subscribe button. Because believe me, it did. Main story continued. My daughter blew out her candles 20 minutes later. I held it together, an icy calm shielding me, long enough to cut the cake. My husband came back inside alone. His face was the color of old newspaper, that grayish-white pallor people get when shock hits their system. He walked past the parents still clustered near the snack table, past the kids who'd abandoned the bounce house to watch the drama, straight to me. We need to talk. We really don't. Please. His voice cracked, a desperate plea. Not here. Not like this. Andrea moved closer to my side, a protective stance. 2 other moms had their phones out now, not even pretending they weren't recording. You brought her here, I said, my voice quiet but firm. You gave her our address. Our daughter's birthday. So yeah, actually, here is perfect. He reached for my arm. I jerked back. Don't touch me. I didn't know she was coming. I swear I didn't know. You expect me to believe that? He stopped, glanced around at all the faces watching us, then lowered his voice. She's been texting me constantly. I told her it was over. I told her we couldn't see each other anymore. When? I pulled up my phone again. Swiped to the messages from 2 nights ago. Turned the screen toward him. Missing you already, I read. Can't stop thinking about Thursday night. Thursday. As in 48 hours ago. His jaw worked, but nothing came out. So, either you're lying now, or you are lying to her, or both. Which is it? I was trying to let her down easy. I didn't want her to what? Show up to our daughter's birthday party? My voice rose despite myself. Too late. One of the dads cleared his throat. Maybe we should give you 2 some privacy. Stay, I said, my gaze sweeping the room. Please. I want witnesses for this. My husband's face flushed red now, anger replacing shock. You're humiliating me. I'm humiliating you? The laugh that came out of me was sharp enough to cut. You humiliated me every time you lied about working late. Every time you kissed me after being with her. Every time you looked at our daughter and pretended you were someone worth respecting. Mommy. My daughter stood 3 feet away, holding a deflated balloon. Her birthday crown sat crooked on her head. I softened my voice. What is it, sweetheart? Is Daddy leaving? The question hit like a fist to the sternum. My husband opened his mouth, but I spoke first. We'll talk about that later, okay? Why don't you go show Grandma your presents? My mother had appeared in the doorway, taking in the scene with pursed lips and hard eyes. She held out her hand, and my daughter ran to her, glancing back once before disappearing into the hallway. My husband waited until they were gone. You're really doing this in front of everyone? You already did it. I'm just saying it out loud. 47 text messages isn't a mistake. It's a choice. Multiple choices. Over 4 months. Andrea shifted beside me. Do you want me to call someone? I'm fine. You don't look fine. She was right. My hands were shaking now, the adrenaline crash starting to hit. But I kept my spine straight. Kept my voice level. How did she even know about this party? I asked him. He hesitated too long. You told her. She asked what I was doing today, and I mentioned it. You didn't think she'd actually show up. You didn't think I'd find out. You didn't think any of this would catch up to you. I stepped closer, close enough to see the sweat beading at his hairline. But I've known for 3 weeks. I hired an attorney. I have copies of everything. The hotel receipts, the credit card charges, every message you thought you deleted. I was building my case quietly because I wanted to protect our daughter from exactly this kind of scene. But then your girlfriend decided to play house at my kid's birthday party. So here we are. His face cycled through expressions too fast to track. Shock. Panic. Something that might have been grief. 3 weeks? 3 weeks? And you didn't say anything? I was waiting for the right time. Guess Chelsea gave it to me. One of the dads spoke up then, the one who'd suggested privacy earlier. Look, man. I think you should probably leave. My husband ignored him, focused on me. Where am I supposed to go? Chelsea's place. You seemed pretty comfortable there. She lives with her sister. Not my problem. I don't have anywhere. There's a suitcase in your trunk, I said. I packed it this morning. Figured you'd need it eventually. The air went out of him. He sagged against the wall, and for a second, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost remembered the man I'd married 8 years ago. The one who'd promised forever in front of everyone we loved. Then I remembered the selfie. The messages. The way Chelsea had smiled at me like she was already measuring my life for fit. I'll be at my mom's tonight, he said finally. We can talk tomorrow. Nothing to talk about. My attorney will contact you next week. He pushed off the wall, started for the door, then stopped, turned back. I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. There's a difference. He left without another word. The room exhaled. Parents started moving again, cleaning up abandoned plates, corralling kids. Andrea squeezed my shoulder. You need anything? I need this party to end so I can go home and fall apart in private. She smiled, sad, but understanding. 30 minutes. We'll handle cleanup. My mother reappeared with my daughter, who clutched a stuffed unicorn from the gift pile. Her crown was gone now, probably crushed in the bounce house. Can we go home? She asked. Baby, soon. She leaned against my leg, and I stroked her hair, watching the other parents gather their things. Some avoided my eyes. Others nodded. Small gestures of solidarity. One mom mouthed, "Call me," as she herded her twins toward the exit. The music had stopped at some point. The room felt smaller now, emptier, even with people still moving through it. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, "You'll regret this." I deleted it without responding. The party had 20 minutes left on the rental clock when my phone lit up again. Another unknown number. This time, a photo attachment loaded before I could stop it. Chelsea's face filled the screen. Mascara streaked. Sitting in a car. Below it, "Hope you're proud of yourself." I showed Andrea, who made a disgusted sound. She's really doubling down on the victim thing. Let her, I said, pocketing the phone. I've got bigger problems. My daughter had planted herself at the craft table, methodically coloring a princess page with fierce concentration. The kind of focus kids use when they're trying not to think about something. Every few seconds, she'd glance toward the door like she expected her father to come back. My mother materialized beside me with 2 paper cups of punch. "Drink something. You look pale." "I'm fine." "You're not. And that's okay." She pressed the cup into my hand. "Your father pulled the same garbage when you were 9. Different woman, same playbook. Men like that think they can compartmentalize. Keep everyone in separate boxes and nobody gets hurt." "Did you confront her?" "Keyed her car." She said it so matter-of-factly that I almost laughed. Not my proudest moment, but I was 28 and stupid. "You're handling this better." "Doesn't feel like it." "You kept your daughter out of the initial blast zone. You gathered evidence first. You're 3 steps ahead of him, and he knows it. That's why he looked so panicked." Andrea joined us, lowering her voice. "So that text you got? I'm pretty sure half the moms here saw it, too. Someone's already posting on the neighborhood Facebook group." My stomach dropped. "Posting what?" "Nothing identifying. Just witnessed some wild drama at the community center today. Reminder to trust your gut about people." But the comments are already speculating. Great. Just great. Actually, it might work in your favor. Public record of the incident, multiple witnesses, documented pattern of harassment. Your attorney's going to love this. She wasn't wrong, but the thought of our lives becoming neighborhood gossip made my skin crawl. I'd lived here 6 years, hosted block parties, organized school fundraisers. Now I'd be that woman whose husband cheated every time someone saw me at the grocery store. My phone buzzed again. This time a text from my husband. "I need to get some things from the house. Can you give me an hour?" I typed back, "No, you can get them supervised next week." 3 dots appeared immediately, disappeared, appeared again. "Please, I need my laptop for work. Should have thought of that before you left." Not my problem. The dots stopped. Then my phone rang. His name lit up the screen. I declined the call. It rang again. Declined again. I silenced it and shoved it in my purse. Andrea raised an eyebrow. "He's persistent. He's desp. Rate. There's a difference." My mother had moved to the craft table, helping my daughter glue glitter onto her princess crown. She caught my eye and nodded toward the exit. "Time to wrap this up." I clapped my hands twice. "Okay, everyone. Party's officially over. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for understanding about the disruption." The remaining parents gathered their kids with murmured sympathies and awkward side hugs. One dad, Brian, whose son was in my daughter's class, hung back. "Hey, I just wanted to say that tip guts. What you did." My ex pulled something similar, and I wish I'd handled it half as well. "Thanks. I mean it. You protected your kid and set boundaries. That matters." He left with his son, and suddenly the room was just us. Me, my mother, my daughter, Andrea, and the wreckage of deflated balloons and half-eaten cake. "Come on, birthday girl," I said. "Let's pack up your presents." She didn't move from her chair. "Is Daddy coming home tonight?" The question I'd been dreading. I knelt beside her, eye level. "No, sweetie. He's staying somewhere else for a while because of that lady. Because Daddy and I need to figure some grown-up stuff out. She was mean." "Yeah, she was. Is it my fault?" The words hit like a punch. I grabbed her hands, held them tight. "No, listen to me. None of this is your fault. Not even a little bit. Sometimes adults make bad choices, and those choices hurt people. But that's on them, not you. Never you. She nodded, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. The same doubt I'd carried after my father left, convinced somehow I'd driven him away. I love you, I said more than anything. And that's never going to change. Okay. We loaded presents into trash bags, improvised luggage, and my mother carried the leftover cake while Andrea grabbed the gift bags. The community center employee who'd been hovering near the back finally approached. "I'm really sorry about what happened," she said. "Do you need anything? Want me to file an incident report?" An incident report for the disruption. Sometimes it helps if there's official documentation, especially if, she hesitated. Especially if things escalate. I hadn't considered that angle. Sure. Yeah, that would be helpful. She disappeared into the office and returned with a clipboard. I filled out the basics while my daughter climbed into my mother's car, and by the time I finished, the sun had started its descent, casting long shadows across the parking lot. My phone had 12 missed calls, all from my husband. 4 voicemails. I listened to the first one in my car, engine running, heat blasting against the October chill. "Please pick up. I know you're angry, but we need to talk about logistics. I need my laptop. I need clothes. Just please call me back." The second, "Chelsea's sister won't let me stay there. Says I'm a liar and a cheat, and she doesn't want me around her kids. Where am I supposed to go?" The third, "I talked to my brother. He said I can crash on his couch, but he lives 2 hours away. I can't be that far from our daughter. Please, just let me come home tonight, and I'll sleep in the guest room. We don't even have to talk." The fourth, "Fine, I'll get a hotel, but I need access to our bank account. The joint checking is showing declined, and I can't." "Did you freeze the accounts?" "I had, yesterday, per my attorney's advice. I didn't return the calls." At home, my mother helped carry presents inside while my daughter went straight to her room. I heard the door close, soft but deliberate. The sound of a kid who needed space to process. "Let her be," my mother said. "She'll come out when she's ready." I collapsed on the couch, suddenly exhausted. The adrenaline had burned off, leaving nothing but bone-deep fatigue. Andrea texted checking in. "You surviving?" "Barely. Need company?" "Need sleep, but thanks. Call if that changes." I've got wine and trashy reality TV queued up. I smiled despite everything. Then opened my email to find 3 new messages from my attorney. The first, "Heard about the party incident. Call me Monday. This actually strengthens your case significantly." The second, "Do not let him back in the house without supervision. Change locks if needed." The third, "Screenshot everything. Every call, text, voicemail, especially threats or attempts at manipulation." I forwarded him the text from Chelsea, the unknown number messages, the voicemail transcripts. Then I changed every password on every account we shared. Bank, utilities, streaming services, insurance. Each reset felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. My phone rang again, not my husband this time. My mother-in-law's name flashed across the screen. I stared at it for 3 rings, then answered. "I heard what happened." Her voice was tight, controlled. "I need you to understand that my son made a terrible mistake, but destroying him publicly isn't going to fix your marriage. I'm not trying to fix it. I'm ending it." "Over one affair?" "People work through worse. That's your choice, not mine. Think about your daughter. She needs her father. She needs a father who respects her mother. Right now, she doesn't have that." Silence on the other end. Then Chelsea called me. "She's very upset. Says you threatened her job. She crashed my daughter's birthday party to flaunt an affair. I told her the truth about consequences. That's not a threat. She says you're vindictive. She can say whatever she wants. Doesn't make it true. I raised my son better than this. Then maybe you should be having this conversation with him instead of me. I hung up before she could respond. My daughter's door opened. She appeared in the hallway, crown still crooked on her head, holding the stuffed unicorn. Can we watch a movie? Absolutely. We curled up on the couch under the throw blanket, some animated thing about friendship and magic. And for 90 minutes, I pretended everything was normal, that we were just having a quiet Sunday evening, not navigating the crater my husband had left in our lives. My phone stayed silent for exactly 2 hours. Then the texts started again. The texts came in clusters, rapid-fire desperation punctuated by typos that told me he was either driving or drinking. You made Chelsea cry. She's having a panic attack in her car. Her sister kicked her out. She has nowhere to go. This is cruel. Whatever I did, she didn't deserve that. I set the phone face down on the coffee table and kept watching the movie, my daughter's breathing evening out against my shoulder as the animated characters solved their problems with friendship and a catchy song. If only. The next message came from a number I didn't recognize, but knew had to be Chelsea. You humiliated me in front of children. I could sue you for defamation. I picked up the phone and typed back, truth is an absolute defense. Try it. Dots appeared. Vanished. The call came 30 seconds later. I answered on speaker, volume low so my daughter wouldn't hear. You had no right. Chelsea's voice cracked on every syllable. I didn't know he was married when we met. The texts say otherwise. You called me the wife in at least 4 messages. That was later, after I found out. I tried to end it by showing up to his daughter's birthday party. I wanted to see what kind of person keeps a man so miserable he'd rather be with me. The audacity knocked the air out of me. You wanted to see if you could replace me? I wanted to understand why he stays. Because we have a child together. Because we built a life. Because until 3 weeks ago, I thought we had something worth protecting. My voice stayed level, almost clinical. But you wouldn't understand that, would you? You just saw something you wanted and took it. He pursued me, and you said yes. Repeatedly. For 4 months. In hotel rooms paid for with money meant for our daughter's college fund. Silence stretched between us. My daughter shifted against me, still asleep, and I lowered my voice even further. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to stop contacting me, stop contacting my husband, and disappear from our lives. If you show up anywhere near my family again, I'll file a restraining order and send every screenshot I have to your employer, your family, and anyone else who might find your behavior interesting. You already got me fired. No, your choices got you fired. I just made sure the right people knew about them. I loved him. You loved the idea of him. The version he performed for you in hotel rooms between lies. That's not love. That's fantasy. I hung up before she could respond. The movie ended. My daughter stirred, blinking up at me with sleepy confusion. Is it bedtime? Almost. Want to brush your teeth first? She nodded and shuffled toward the bathroom while I checked my phone again. 8 more messages from my husband. Each one a variation on the same theme. I'd overreacted, embarrassed him, made everything worse. The last one said, I'm coming over tomorrow to get my things whether you like it or not. I forwarded it to my attorney with a single word, threats. His response came within minutes, yes, forward to police if he shows up without permission. Document everything. My mother emerged from the guest room where she'd been giving us space, reading glasses perched on her nose. He's still harassing you nonstop? Want me to answer next time? I've got some choice words. Tempting, but I need to keep this clean. No ammunition for him to use later. She squeezed my shoulder. Smart. Your father tried that same move, showing up unannounced and acting like the injured party. The judge didn't buy it then. Won't buy it now. My daughter called from the bathroom that she was ready for bed. I tucked her in, read 3 chapters of the book we'd been working through, and waited until her breathing steadied into sleep before returning to the living room. My mother had made tea, the kind that smelled like lavender and false promises of calm. Drink, she commanded. Then sleep. Tomorrow's going to be worse before it gets better. She wasn't wrong. Monday morning arrived with 14 missed calls and a voicemail from my mother-in-law that opened with, "We need to discuss your behavior," and deteriorated from there. I deleted it halfway through and blocked her number. My attorney called at 9 o'clock. "Good news and bad news," he said. Good news. The community center filed an incident report documenting the disruption, and multiple witnesses confirmed the affair admission. That's solid evidence of adultery and emotional distress. And the bad? He's hired representation. Not great representation, but someone who's already sent me a letter claiming you're denying him access to marital assets and attempting to alienate his child. I'm protecting those assets from being drained for hotel rooms. I know, and the judge will, too. But expect him to escalate. Men like this don't go quietly. He didn't. That afternoon, my husband showed up at my daughter's school during pickup. I saw him across the parking lot, leaning against his car like he had every right to be there, and my blood went cold. I reached my daughter first, scooping her hand into mine. "Daddy's here," she said, uncertain. "I see him." He approached with his hands up, palms out, like I was a spooked animal. "I just want to talk to her." 5 minutes. "No, she's my daughter, too." "Then you should have thought about that before you brought your affair partner to her birthday party." Other parents had stopped to watch. Keys dangling from hands, conversations dying mid-sentence. My daughter pressed against my leg. "You're making a scene," he hissed. "I'm protecting my child." "There's a difference." "From her own father?" "From the chaos you created." "You want visitation?" "Go through the attorney." "You want to talk?" "Schedule it properly." "You don't get to ambush us in parking lots because you feel entitled to access." A teacher had noticed the commotion and started walking over. My husband saw her coming and backed off, jaw clenched. "This isn't over," he said. "It is for today." I loaded my daughter into the car and locked the doors before my hands started shaking. The teacher knocked on the window. "Everything okay?" "Not really, but we're leaving now." "Do you need me to call someone?" "I've got it handled." "Thank you." I didn't. Not really. But I couldn't fall apart in a school parking lot with my daughter watching. At home, I documented the encounter, time, location, witnesses present, exact words exchanged. Then I sent it to my attorney with the subject line, Exhibit B. His response, File for emergency custody modification. This is harassment. The paperwork took 2 hours. By the time I finished, my daughter had retreated to her room again, and my phone had accumulated another dozen messages from various family members weighing in on my choices. His brother, "You're being unreasonable." His aunt, "Marriage is hard work. Don't give up so easily." A cousin I hadn't spoken to in 3 years, heard about the drama. "Maybe if you'd kept him satisfied at home, he wouldn't have strayed." I blocked them all. Andrea texted, "Saw your husband's car at the school. Want me to come over?" "Not tonight, but thanks. The offer stands." Also, Chelsea's Instagram went private. Someone must have found her. I didn't feel triumphant, just tired. My daughter appeared in the doorway, still in her school clothes. Can Daddy come home if he says sorry? The question I'd been dreading, rephrased. It's more complicated than that, sweetie. But if he's really, really sorry? Some things can't be fixed with apologies. Sometimes people hurt each other so badly that the only healthy choice is to live separately. But you always say families stick together. And we will. You and me, Grandma, the people who show up when things are hard. That's family. It doesn't always look the way we thought it would. She considered this, chewing her bottom lip. Is Chelsea still around? No, she's gone. Good. I didn't like her. Neither did I, kid. Neither did I. That night, my husband's text shifted tone. Less begging, more threats. You're turning my daughter against me. You're keeping me from my own home. I'll take you to court for this. I responded once, see you there. Then I muted his number and tried to sleep. The knock came at 11 o'clock. 3 sharp raps that echoed through the quiet house like gunfire. I knew who it was before I looked through the peephole. My husband stood on the porch, shoulders hunched, eyes swollen. Behind him, his car sat crooked in the driveway, one tire up on the grass like he'd parked in a hurry. I opened the door but kept the chain latched. We need to talk, he said. We really don't. Please, just 5 minutes. You had 4 months of minutes. You spent them with someone else. His hand pressed flat against the doorframe. I know I messed up. I know that. But showing up at the school, blocking my family, you're making this impossible. I'm making it impossible? You're not even giving me a chance to explain. I unlatched the chain and pulled the door open wider. Not because I wanted to hear him out, but because I wanted him to see what was waiting just inside the entryway. The black rolling suitcase I'd packed 3 hours earlier, stuffed with his clothes, toiletries, the framed photo of his parents he kept on his nightstand. He stared at it. What's that? Your things. You said you wanted to come get them. I meant we could talk about it first. Figure out a plan. The plan is you take this and leave. You can stay with your brother, or a hotel, or Chelsea, since you like her company so much. She's gone. She left town. Not my problem. She was scared. You threatened her. I told her the truth. If that scared her, she should have thought about consequences before showing up to a 7-year-old's birthday party. He ran both hands through his hair. The gesture so familiar it almost hurt. Almost. This is insane. You can't just kick me out of my own house. It's my house. My name on the deed. You wanted your name added after we got married, but your credit was garbage, remember? So, yeah, I can. We built this together. You dismantled it. I'm just cleaning up the mess. He stepped inside without asking, and I let him because the suitcase was blocking his path anyway. He'd have to move past me to get deeper into the house, and I wasn't giving him that option. You don't get to fix this. You broke something that can't be repaired. We have a daughter. Which is why I'm doing this now instead of letting her grow up watching us destroy each other. You're being dramatic. The laugh that came out of me sounded foreign. Dramatic, right? Because finding a burner phone with hotel coordinates and love notes is just everyday marriage stuff. It wasn't love. Then what was it? He opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. I don't know. It just happened. Affairs don't just happen. You don't accidentally book a hotel room. You don't trip and fall into someone else's bed for 4 months straight. I was stressed. Work was terrible. You were always busy with our daughter. And Chelsea was just there, listening, making me feel like I mattered. So, you're blaming me? I'm explaining. No, you're making excuses. There's a difference. He grabbed the suitcase handle, yanked it toward him hard enough that it tipped and crashed onto its side. Fine. You want me gone? I'm gone. But don't act like you're some perfect victim in all this. I never said I was perfect. I said I was faithful. You were cold. I was tired. From raising our daughter, managing this house, working full-time while you played businessman at conferences and apparently found time to audition replacements. That's not fair. None of this is fair. But here we are. He righted the suitcase, jaw working like he was chewing through words he wanted to spit at me. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret is not finding that burner phone sooner. I mean it. You think you're in control now? But wait until court. Wait until my attorney starts digging into your finances, your parenting, every little thing you've ever done wrong. Go ahead. I've got nothing to hide. Can you say the same? He wheeled the suitcase toward the door, movements jerky with barely contained rage. At the threshold, he turned back. What do I tell people? Tell them the truth. That you cheated, got caught, and your wife wasn't interested in playing the forgiving martyr. Everyone's going to think I'm a monster. Then maybe don't act like one. You stood up at a children's party and read our private messages out loud. Who's the monster? The person who made those messages exist in the first place. He left without another word. Suitcase bumping down the porch steps, car door slamming hard enough to rattle the windows. I watched through the peephole as he sat in the driver's seat for a full minute, head against the steering wheel, before finally pulling away. The house felt bigger without him in it, quieter. I locked the door, set the deadbolt, checked the back door and every window on the first floor, even though I'd already checked them an hour earlier. My phone buzzed. Andrea saw his car leave. You okay? Define okay. Still breathing, not setting anything on fire? Then yeah, barely. Want company? Not tonight, but thank you. Call if that changes. I'm serious. I promised I would and set the phone down, staring at the empty space where the suitcase had been. A scuff mark on the hardwood where he dragged it. I'd have to buff that out later. My daughter's voice drifted from upstairs. Mom? I climbed the stairs and found her sitting up in bed, stuffed rabbit clutched against her chest. I heard yelling. Just grown-up stuff. Nothing for you to worry about. Was that Daddy? Yeah, he came to get some of his things. Is he coming back? The question I'd answered a dozen different ways and still she asked it again. Not tonight, sweetie. But later? I don't know. Probably not. She processed this, fingers working through the rabbit's fur. Did I do something wrong? No. God, no. This has nothing to do with you. Then why is everything changing? I sat on the edge of her bed, smoothing the comforter over her legs. Sometimes people grow apart. Sometimes they make choices that hurt each other too much to keep living together. But none of that is your fault. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. You and me, we're solid. That's not changing. Promise. Promise. She lay back down, and I stayed until her breathing evened out, watching the rise and fall of the blanket and the dim glow of her nightlight. Downstairs, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me check. This is Chelsea's sister. She wanted me to tell you she's sorry for everything. She's getting help and won't contact you again. I stared at the message for a long time before typing back, "Thank you for letting me know." No response came. I didn't expect one. The house settled around me. Floorboards creaking, refrigerator humming, all the small sounds that used to fade into background noise when someone else was here to fill the silence. Now they felt amplified. Each one a reminder that I'd chosen this, that I'd drawn the line and refused to let anyone cross it, no matter how much they begged or blamed or threatened. My attorney had called it strength. My mother called it survival. I called it Tuesday, because that's all it was. Another day of doing what needed to be done, one decision at a time, until the chaos settled into something resembling normal. The scuff mark on the floor caught my eye again. I grabbed the wood polish from under the sink and buffed it out, working in small circles until the hardwood gleamed uniform and unblemished, like nothing had ever been dragged across it at all. The email arrived at 6:47 a.m., 3 days after you left. Subject line, regarding your husband. I opened it standing at the kitchen counter, coffee halfway to my lips. Hi, you don't know me, but I'm Chelsea's roommate. She came home yesterday completely falling apart, saying she lost her job because of you. I thought you should know she's not doing well. She's not thinking clearly, and I'm worried. I know what happened was wrong, but she's a human being and she's really suffering. I set the coffee down and read it again. Then I forwarded it to my attorney with a single line, "Is this something I need to respond to?" Her reply came back in under 10 minutes, "Absolutely not. Do not engage. Forward any future contact directly to me." I deleted the email and poured the coffee down the sink because my hands were shaking too hard to hold the mug steady. My daughter appeared in the doorway. Backpack already on. Hair pulled into the ponytail I'd taught her to do herself last month. "Ready for school?" "Yeah." "You okay?" "Just tired." "Let's go." The drive took 12 minutes. She talked about a science project on planets and how her friend was moving to a different state and whether we could get a dog now that there was more room in the house. I made the appropriate sounds, nodding at the right moments. But my brain was stuck on that email. Chelsea's roommate, someone I'd never met, inserting herself into a situation she only knew one side of, trying to make me feel guilty for consequences Chelsea had earned entirely on her own. I pulled up to the school drop-off line, and my daughter unbuckled her seatbelt, leaning over to hug me before she climbed out. "Love you, Mom." "Love you, too. Have a good day." She disappeared into the building, and I sat there watching other parents cycle through, dropping off their kids, driving away to their jobs and lives and problems that probably didn't include emails from affair partners' roommates asking for sympathy. My phone rang. "Andrea, you see it yet?" "See what?" "Chelsea's social media. She posted something this morning." "I don't follow her." "I know, but Hannah does. She sent me screenshots." "Who's Hannah?" "One of the moms from the party. She looked Chelsea up after everything went down. Started following her to see what would happen. And this morning, Chelsea posted this whole essay about being bullied and harassed by a vindictive wife who couldn't handle that her marriage was already over." I pulled out of the drop-off line and into a parking spot. "Send me the screenshots." They came through 10 seconds later. 3 images, walls of text over a filtered selfie of Chelsea looking red-eyed and fragile. I read it 3 times. Then I called my attorney. "I need to know if this counts as defamation." She had me send the screenshots. "It's borderline. She's not naming you directly, but the implications are clear. The problem is proving damages would be difficult since she's not making specific false claims. Just framing the situation from her perspective. So, she gets to lie, and I just have to sit here and take it? You could respond, but I'd strongly advise against it. Anything you say publicly can be used in court. And right now, we have a clean narrative. Her posting emotional appeals on social media actually helps us because it shows poor judgment and a pattern of inserting herself into situations that don't concern her. It concerns her. She was sleeping with my husband. Was. Past tense. She has no legal standing in your divorce proceedings and no relationship with your daughter. The more she talks publicly, the more she undermines any sympathy she might have had. Let her keep digging. I wanted to argue. I wanted to screenshot every text message, every receipt, every piece of evidence I had and plaster it across every platform she'd used to play victim. But I didn't. Because my attorney was right. And because engaging would only feed whatever narrative Chelsea was trying to build. Fine, I won't respond. Good. Now, tell me about the email from her roommate. I forwarded that, too, and she sighed loud enough that I heard it clearly through the phone. This is a manipulation tactic. They're trying to make you feel responsible for Chelsea's mental health so you'll back off the divorce proceedings or drop the evidence we're planning to use in court. She said Chelsea was not doing well mentally. If that's true, her roommate should be calling a crisis line, not emailing you. The fact that she reached out to you specifically tells me this is strategic, not genuine concern. What if something happens and I ignored it? Then that's on Chelsea and her support system, not on you. You are not responsible for the emotional well-being of the woman who had an affair with your husband. You're responsible for your daughter and yourself. That's it. I sat in the parking lot for another 20 minutes after we hung up, watching parents come and go. The mundane rhythm of a weekday morning continuing around me like nothing had shifted. My phone buzzed again. A text from my husband's sister, "Can we talk?" I don't want to take sides, but I'm worried about everyone. I almost didn't respond. Then I thought about all the family dinners, the birthdays, the holidays where she'd been kind to me and my daughter, and I decided she at least deserved honesty. I'm open to talking, but I need you to understand I won't be discussing details of the divorce or defending decisions I've made to protect my family. That's fair. Coffee tomorrow? Sure. We met at a place halfway between our houses, a chain cafe with uncomfortable chairs and mediocre espresso. She was already there when I arrived, hands wrapped around a mug, eyes tired in a way that said she hadn't been sleeping well either. Thank you for meeting me. Of course. I don't really know what to say. He's my brother, and I love him, but what he did was inexcusable. I appreciate you saying that. He called me last night, said you were ruining his life, that you'd gotten Chelsea fired and turned everyone against him and he didn't know how to fix it. He can't fix it. I know. I told him that. I told him he made choices and now he has to live with them. But he's convinced you're being vindictive. I'm being protective. There's a difference. She nodded slowly, fingers tracing the rim of her mug. The party? That was intense. It was necessary. You really had no idea she was going to show up? None. If I had, I would have handled it differently. But she walked into my daughter's birthday party like she belonged there, and I wasn't going to let her rewrite reality in front of a room full of people who knew us. He says, you embarrassed him on purpose. I embarrassed him by telling the truth. He embarrassed himself by creating the situation. She looked at me for a long moment, something shifting in her expression. I believe you. I didn't want to because he's family, but I do. And I'm sorry for what he did, for what you're going through. Thank you. What happens now? The divorce goes through. We split assets. I keep primary custody. He gets visitation. We figure out how to co-parent without destroying our daughter in the process. And Chelsea? Chelsea is not my problem. She lost her job because she violated company policy. She's upset because her actions had consequences. None of that has anything to do with me. He thinks you sent evidence to her employer. I didn't, but I won't apologize for the fact that someone did. She finished her coffee and set the mug down carefully. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. Do you hate him? The question caught me off guard. I thought about it. Really thought about it, turning the words over in my mind until I found the truth underneath. No, I hate what he did. I hate that he chose someone else over our family. I hate that he lied for months and made me question my own sanity when I knew something was wrong. But him? I don't have the energy to hate him. I just want him out of my life in every way except the parts that involve our daughter. That's fair. Is he okay? Define okay. Not falling apart. Functional. He's staying with my parents. They're being supportive, but they're also furious with him. My mom cried for 2 hours when she found out. She loves you. She loves your daughter. This whole thing has been awful for everyone. I know. I'm sorry they're caught in the middle. Don't apologize. You didn't do this. We talked for another 30 minutes, mostly about my daughter and how she was handling everything, about logistics and schedules and the small practical details that divorce forces you to navigate. When we finally stood to leave, she hugged me, quick and tight. If you need anything, call me. I mean it. I will. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in days, like some invisible weight had been acknowledged and shared instead of sitting entirely on my shoulders. The house was quiet when I got back. I made a fresh pot of coffee, opened my laptop, and pulled up the divorce paperwork my attorney had sent over for final review. Distribution of assets, custody arrangements, child support calculations, all of it laid out in clean legal language that reduced 4 years of marriage to bullet points and percentages. I signed where she'd flagged, initialed the margins, scanned everything back, and sent it through. Done. My phone rang an hour later. My attorney. He's contesting the custody arrangement. On what grounds? He's claiming you're alienating him from his daughter and using the divorce as punishment for the affair. That's ridiculous. I've never stopped him from seeing her. I know. And we have documentation of every time you facilitated visitation, but his attorney is trying to paint you as vindictive and unstable. Based on what? The birthday party. They're arguing that publicly confronting Chelsea in front of your daughter and other children shows poor judgment and emotional instability. I laughed. Actually laughed. He brought his affair partner to our daughter's birthday party, and I'm the one showing poor judgment? That's what I said, and that's what I'll argue in court. But I need you to be prepared for this to get ugly. He's going to try to make you look like the aggressor. Let him try. I have witnesses. I have evidence. I have 4 months of documentation showing exactly who did what and when. Good, because we're going to need all of it. The court date came 6 weeks later. I wore a navy dress, minimal jewelry, hair pulled back. My attorney had coached me on tone and body language, on answering only what was asked, on staying calm no matter what his attorney tried to imply. The courtroom was smaller than I'd expected. Fluorescent lights and wood paneling and a judge who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. His attorney went first, painting a picture of a bitter wife who'd weaponized a private matter and turned it into a public spectacle, who'd humiliated his client in front of their daughter's friends and teachers, who'd systematically destroyed his reputation and career prospects. My attorney stood up and methodically dismantled every claim. She presented the texts. The hotel receipts. The timeline showing he'd been lying for months. And then she called her first witness. Andrea took the stand and described the party, how Chelsea had introduced herself, how I'd responded, how other parents had reacted, how my daughter had asked what was happening, and I'd knelt down to comfort her before continuing. Did the defendant seem out of control? My attorney asked. No, she seemed angry, but she wasn't yelling or causing a scene beyond stating facts. The scene was already happening. Chelsea showed up uninvited to a child's birthday party. That's what created the disruption. 2 more parents testified, both said the same thing, that I'd been direct but not cruel, that Chelsea had seemed calculated in her timing, that my husband had looked guilty, not surprised. His attorney tried to argue I could have handled it privately. My attorney pointed out I had been handling it privately for 3 weeks while gathering evidence and meeting with legal counsel, that Chelsea's appearance had forced my hand. The judge listened to everything, made notes, asked a few clarifying questions. Then she ruled, primary custody to me, visitation rights for him, supervised for the first 3 months pending evaluation. The house stayed mine, assets split according to the prenuptial agreement I'd insisted on before we got married, back when he called me paranoid for wanting legal protection. He didn't look at me when we left the courtroom. His attorney tried to spin it as a partial victory since he'd gotten visitation at all. My attorney called it exactly what we'd expected and told me to go home and celebrate. I picked my daughter up from school and took her for ice cream instead. She got chocolate chip cookie dough and a waffle cone. And I got nothing, because my stomach was still twisted from 6 hours of sitting in a courtroom listening to my marriage get dissected by strangers. "Why are you so happy?" she asked. "Because it's over. The hard part, the legal stuff. Now we just get to be us." "Just us?" "Just us." She seemed to think about this, licking melted ice cream off her hand. "I like just us." "Me too, kiddo." "Me too." That night after she went to bed, I sat on the back porch with a glass of wine and looked at the stars. My phone buzzed with texts from friends congratulating me, from my attorney confirming the final paperwork would be ready to sign within a week, from Andrea asking if I wanted to come over and properly celebrate. I responded to all of them with variations of thank you and maybe tomorrow. And then I set the phone down and just sat there, feeling the weight of the past 2 months finally start to lift. The affair, the confrontation, the divorce. All of it was fact now, documented and filed and sealed in legal language that meant I could stop explaining, stop defending, stop justifying why I'd chosen my own dignity over a marriage that had already ended the moment he'd booked that first hotel room. Chelsea's social media had gone quiet after her company fired her. My husband had moved 2 hours away to stay with a cousin. The parents from the birthday party still waved when they saw me at school pickup. Life continued, smaller and quieter, and mine in a way it hadn't been in years. I finished the wine, rinsed the glass, locked the doors, and went upstairs to check on my daughter one more time before bed. She was sprawled sideways across the mattress, blanket kicked off, stuffed rabbit wedged under one arm. I pulled the blanket back over her and kissed her forehead. Then went to my own room and fell asleep within minutes, dreamless and undisturbed. For the first time since I'd found that burner phone and realized my marriage was already over, I just hadn't known it yet. Ending, 4 months later, my daughter turned 8. We celebrated at home this time. Just us, Andrea and her kids, and my sister who flew in for the weekend. Chocolate cake with rainbow sprinkles because she'd requested it specifically, and presents wrapped in paper she'd picked out herself at the store. She blew out the candles in one breath and leaned close to me while everyone clapped. "This one's better." "Yeah, way better." "No weird stuff." I kissed the top of her head and cut the cake while Andrea poured juice boxes and my sister set up a movie in the living room. Later, after everyone left and my daughter was asleep upstairs, I sat at the kitchen table with the last slice of cake and my phone buzzed with a text from my ex. "Hope she had a good day." I typed back, "She did. Thanks for the gift," because he'd sent a package with a card and a stuffed animal she'd added to the collection on her bed. Then another text came through. "Chelsea still hasn't found a job. You know that's on you." I stared at it for a long moment, then deleted the thread without responding. He'd said it before, that I'd ruined her life, that I'd gone too far, that public humiliation was cruel and unnecessary. But she'd walked into a child's birthday party to play house with someone else's family, and I'd just made sure everyone knew exactly what was happening before she could rewrite it into something softer. Some truths need daylight. I'd only turned on the switch. Thanks for watching. What would you have done if someone tried to rewrite your reality like that? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories of standing your ground.